All right, starter sit these pitchers for the final week of the season. Mitch Keller got destroyed at the Reds on Friday. 3 1/3 innings, 8 runs allowed, 2 homers allowed, and over his last 8 starts, 7.52 ERA, 1.62 WHIP for Mitch Keller, who is home against the Brewers this week.
I mean, his career, he's been a random number generator. Like, oh, the most recent stretch for Mitch Keller, like, it never matters.
Yeah.
It's always like, oh, he had 7 great starts and then 9 earned runs in 2 innings. Like, that's just the Mitch Keller experience. But velocity way down the last couple of starts. Bad matchup against Milwaukee. I think he is a fringe starter at best. Go ahead and sit him.
I would not start him against Milwaukee either, but I would not be surprised if he threw like 7 3-hit innings and struck out 8.
At all.
You know, what's interesting too is he's now at a 4.21 ERA, 1.29 WHIP. Last year, 4.21 ERA, 1.25 WHIP. So
I gotta think the second half ERA for both years was pretty similar too, because it was the same kind of story.
Right,
he was great in the first half and then just got throttled in the second half.
Yeah. Jacob deGrom was solid in his second start up against the Mariners. 3 innings, 1 run, 5 strikeouts, but obviously only 3 innings, only 58 pitches. His pitch count actually went slightly down from 61 in his first start to 58 here. And it kind of feels like that's the plan, like that's by design. So he's 33% started. Even in a good matchup at the Angels, I don't know that it makes sense to use Jacob deGrom.
No, I would say not. The innings haven't, or the pitch count hasn't trended up, and so you can't count on him to go the minimum 5 innings for a win.
Yeah. Yoshinobu Yamamoto had a rough start on Sunday up against the Rockies in LA. So pretty surprising. That's a bummer there. 3 innings, 4 runs, 3 walks, 4 strikeouts, only threw 59% of his pitches. The pitch count has gone up for Yamamoto. That's the good thing. From 59 to 72 to 79. The problem, he is in Coors Field this week.
Yeah, I'd rather not use him. I think control, he just had some uncharacteristic control issues in this start, and maybe he would have gone a decent number of innings if he didn't. But because that game is at Coors Field, and because we haven't actually seen him give us the sort of workload we're looking for, I think you probably have to sit Yamamoto.
Mm-hmm. Like Mitch Keller, though. If he was great over 6 innings, I would not be surprised.
Brady Singer and Mitch Keller feel like pretty similar pitchers as well. Last 9 starts for Brady Singer, it's a 5.92 ERA and a 1.58 WHIP. He is at the Atlanta Braves this week.
So this is always the problem with the guy who's putting together a several-month stretch where they completely outstrip their peripherals. And it's always like, yeah, but he's continuing to do it. And the problem is always, if you get left holding the bag, you can give back all that you gained in a couple of starts. And Brady Singer's not quite there. Like, his overall ERA is 3.73 for the season, although there were probably a handful of starts early on where nobody started him and you didn't get credit for it. So I never bought in. Atlanta's not a terrible matchup, but I think he's always been a fringe starter.
And that's why the Mitch Kellers of the world, I know we're talking about Brady Singer now, but that kind of pitcher where you look at the game log and there's some huge hits and some huge misses, that profile is always more attractive to me.
Yes.
In a head-to-head league than a roto league, so that you don't have that big correction from the good starts.
It only lasts 1 week.
Darvish turned in a quality start up against the White Sox, 6 1/3 innings, 2 runs, 9 strikeouts, and in 4 starts since returning, it's a 3.15 ERA and a 1.05 WHIP. He's at the D-backs this week, so I like what we've seen from Darvish, but in that matchup, I'd try and get away.
Agreed.
What about Hunter Green, who returned from the IL on Sunday against the Pirates? 3 innings, 1 run, 4 strikeouts, 11 whiffs on 45 pitches. That is a 24% swinging strike rate. Fastball velocity down 1 mile per hour. Not egregious for someone who's returning from an arm injury. He's at the Cubs this week, but only 45 pitches. So it's similar to deGrom. I'm happy he made it through the start and he's healthy, but I don't think you should use Hunter Green.
Agree.
All right, next up is Spencer Arrighetti, who turned in a quality start up against the Angels. 6 innings, 2 runs with 6 strikeouts. Apparently left his start due to some calf cramping. He'll undergo further testing, but if everything checks out, he will start later this week at the Guardians, which is an okay matchup. Like, their offense hasn't been as good here in the second half. If he's healthy, I think I would be okay using Arrighetti there.
Yeah, but what if they decide to rest him because they've pretty much clinched the division? Okay, let's let your calf get better.
Possible, yeah.
Arrighetti's more startable than some of the guys we've talked about, deGrom and Green and Brady Singer, Mitch Keller. I'd start him over all those guys, but I'd try not to start him, I think.
If it wasn't for the calf,
yeah,
Cleveland is a bottom 5 offense in the majors in the second half of the season.
Yeah.
Remember when they were like arguably the best offense in baseball for the first couple of months? Yeah, it's been a rough go. So if we get like official clearance that Spencer Arrighetti's just going to pitch normally, I think he's a fine start.
By the way, one hitter performance we didn't mention from the weekend. Not sure I have the most updated stats here. Jose Ramirez. He has a good chance of having a 40-40 season.
I think he needs 3 homers, right?
Yeah. Not sure he's going to get 3 homers in a week. It's a little bit tough, but yeah, it's quietest near 40-40 season of all time.
Yeah, it could happen. It's definitely feasible, and it would be. How many 40-40 seasons have there been? Not like many.
6, 7.
Yeah, and nobody would be talking about Jose Ramirez's poor guy.
I mean, he's probably going to finish 3rd in MVP voting for, I think, the 3rd time in his career. He's never won. He's going to end up being probably the best player of this generation that doesn't win an MVP, and we're going to have
2020 was his chance.
I think we're
Jose Abreu.
I think we're at the point where Jose Ramirez is actively in Hall of Fame consideration.
Oh yeah,
I don't think anybody really thought that a few years ago.
He's trending toward it pretty easily. He would have to collapse in the next couple years, I think, not to be a Hall of Famer.
Last starter sit question. Ronel Blanco continues to pitch well. He faced the Angels this weekend, 6 innings, 2 runs, 9 strikeouts, 17 whiffs on 104 pitches. And he is also at the Guardians later this week.
I would start him, given everything that he had working against him, complete lack of track record, age, lack of like innings projection. He felt like one of the most obvious sell high candidates of the last few years, and it never really fell apart for him. So kudos to Ronel Blanco for keeping it mostly steady this season. I know there was, some struggles in the summer, but really turned it on down the stretch, and I think needs to be in pretty much all lineups.
Seth Lugo, he had a little rough
turn
patch,
things around.
Yeah. I mean, not as much working against him as Blanco, but it's a similar situation where we could point to Ranger Suarez, he regressed, and Brady Singer, but no, Lugo and Blanco kept it going right up to the end.
4.08 second half ERA for Seth Lugo, but actually 3.32 FIP. Skills got better.
Yeah, well, I mean, look, it just he
been
had
very
another
hit or miss.
7-inning gem over the weekend, so it was 4 of his last 5 7-inning gems.